Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the WIN911 presentation at Automation Fair at Home 2020. As a Global Encompass partner, we're happy to present today. We're going to be focused on WIN911 Mobile, our latest smartphone solution, and integrating with FactoryTalk alarms and events. So today, the main solution that we're going to be focused on is WIN911 Mobile, one of our mini notifiers. It's our latest notifier, which also requires a WIN911 server to be installed. So WIN911 is really, as a solution, it's really broken down into three major components. So we've got our source, so where the event actually happens, whether it be a SCADA system or an OPC server that we're catching this data from. Then we've got our WIN911 dispatcher, which is ultimately going to be the brains of WIN911. This is the piece that's looking to see if this person's available, looking to see, who's on schedule, who does this need to be escalated on to based on what type of event this is. And then the third component is really your notifiers, which is going to be voice, email, SMS, WIN911 Mobile, and we also have an announcer feature. So as a solution, whether it be you're a maintenance technician, a system engineer, a plant manager responsible for managing an entire facility, WIN911 allows for proactive push notifications in real time using your preferred notification method, alerting the right people at the right time when that person's available. So I'm going to talk a little bit about just some common industry challenges and really the why I might need an alarm notification system. I think the biggest reason that we probably see in industry, probably most specifically in the water and wastewater industries, is really around operational efficiency 24/7. So many of these facilities are constantly running. They have several processes and sensitive equipment that's critical that these alarms are responded to and quickly. And dealing with many alarms, fewer personnel, 24/7 has been a huge challenge for industry for many years. But also really delivery beyond the control room. So maybe I'm not directly in front of an HMI. Maybe I'm on the other side of a plant. Maybe I'm at home, asleep. When a critical event happens, to protect your equipment, to protect your assets, you need to be able to receive that information mobilely, especially looking at the remote workforce we live in today. And also acknowledgements. Not all plants allow for workers or operators to remotely act alarms, but it also is, in some ways, alarming can be a bit of a nuisance, right? Too many alarms, maybe some communication alarms that aren't as critical. Being able to stop your escalation remotely, act the alarm not only in WIN911, but also in your SCADA is a critical piece to operational efficiency. And then really another big one is communication gaps. So WIN911 eliminates the need for a middleman. So we can take that alarm from the time it happens, push it to the right person that's responsible for that equipment or that alarm, and without adding an extra layer. We see this all the time in the water and wastewater industry, where they go from an operation where one man is monitoring these alarms inside the plant in the control room, and then that person is responsible for calling somebody else when this event happens. So really, the efficient escalation to the right people is huge. And then again, visibility into events before longer term issues occur. Proactive notification. So as I mentioned, WIN911 is really broken up into three major components. We've got our notifiers, which is sends the alarm and event messages to operators. We've got our dispatcher, which is routing message to notifiers according to escalation policies, which includes user schedules. And then we've got our data sources, which would be our FactoryTalk alarm and event source or our OPCDA source. So diving in a little bit more into WIN911 Mobile, the notifier we're going to be focused on today. I mentioned we do support some other notification methods, including voice notifications, where WIN911 will call you and play a text-to-speech playback, SMS text messages, and email alerts. WIN911 Mobile is our latest notifier. It's actually our second smartphone solution that we've brought to the market. Some high-level highlights here. It allows for push notifications, whether it be a tablet, smartphone, any iOS or Android device. Security, that's a top priority for mobile. So we'll be going a little bit more into the architecture just here in a minute, but really leveraging Microsoft Active Directory, Azure Active Directory for user authentication and security. Team visibility, right? So being able to see who's not only viewed the alarm in the mobile app, you have that accountability, but you can also see whether that person's available, or maybe that person might be in a do not disturb mode where you can suspend notifications immediately. You can also chat within the app pertaining to a particular alarm lifetime or ID. So you can chat amongst your team members. I'm working on this, whatever the case may be, and everybody that's in the particular group would receive a push notification on their phone. Allows you to remotely acknowledge alarms. So as you can see here, these are just a few screenshots. The image here on your left is just an example of some push alerts coming in on an Android device. And this graphic here to your right shows you an example of a group chat going on with a particular alarm. So another advantage, really, you can connect to multiple WIN911 systems. So maybe you use WIN911 as part of your power group for your operations, and maybe you use it in your water department. So you could point multiple WIN911 systems to the same mobile app, to the same mobile hub, which we'll be going into detail here shortly. So to go in a little deeper on the architecture and how WIN911 Mobile works, this is a completely redesigned app, our first smartphone app coming out in 2008, I believe it was, an early adopter in the smartphone app world. We recently moved to the hosted web app. We're using Microsoft Azure as our source of user authentication and security. And so when you're to set up the mobile app, you do need some kind of internet access in your plant. You really have two ways to do that. You can connect to the internet directly using your WIN911 host machine or where your WIN911 mobile module is installed. Or if you're going for a more distributed type of install, where perhaps you have a DMZ that you'd like to leverage for internet connectivity, you can connect using what's called the WIN911 Mobile Hub. And the Mobile Hub is essentially, this is a proxy that allows for your WIN911 server to leverage a DMZ, a business network, some machine. It could be in a different network layer in the plant to connect to our web app. And this is all, I just want to bring up that the way we handle the architecture is everything's communicated either through, whether it be through your local install, if you have internet connectivity, or through the mobile hub. It is all communicated through HTTPS, encrypted communications, with nothing storing in the cloud. Essentially, we host our web API in Azure and utilizing a WCF relay. This allows for all outbound initiated connections from either your WIN911 host machine or the WIN911 mobile hub. And as you're adding users to the system, you are authenticating these users into the WIN911 site or WIN911 system. So I'm going to be going into the process to set up a demo using WIN911 Mobile with FactoryTalk. And my example today, I'm using the FTView demo included with the latest editions of FactoryTalk. And so really this, I would say this is arguably the quickest notifier to set up. And so I mentioned we use Azure as our source for user authentication and security. What you can see here, a username, a password, a WIN911 site name. This is actually a snippet from the WIN911 configuration. So the site name is user specified. You can call this whatever you want. So in my example, I'm calling this WWTP Automation Fair Demo. And then the username is going to be, this is something that WIN911 creates. It's actually tied to this is a demo system, but it would actually be tied to your WIN911 license if this was a production system. And so you would specify the username, a particular password that you would specify. When we initially create the account, there's a temporary password we'll provide, and then it's your responsibility to create that new password through Microsoft Online. In the instance that you were leveraging a DMZ and you wanted to enable the mobile hub, you'd simply check this enable box, and it's going to ask for a defined port on your WIN911 host machine. In my example, I'm not using the mobile hub, so at this point I could then test my connection. You can see it's been connected successfully. This is testing the connection from the mobile hub or the mobile module to Azure, and also testing the credentials. So once you've created your gateway, you've connected the WIN911 system to the web app, you can now go in and create a user. So for my example today, I created a user named Michael. I gave him a description as the maintenance manager. In this instance, I left him as an always available schedule. If you wanted to tack a particular schedule to this user so that WIN911 doesn't notify them when they're not available, you can certainly do that and create your own unique schedule. One of the things I really like about the mobile app is really the amount of configuration on the server side is pretty minimal, and most of it, I would say, is set up at the user level on their mobile devices. So that would be applicable to things like formats for the alarm messages. And so at this point, I've defined an email address, a role to this user. If you, by default, it's going to be selected as do not allow to acknowledge alarms. If you would like to enable acknowledgements for this particular user, you'd simply select allow ACK. And in my situation, this was a Gmail account that I created for the demo. It wasn't affiliated with any Microsoft technology. So like if you're utilizing something like Microsoft 365, Office 365, you may be able to leverage that existing sign-in without actually having to do an invitation through the UI. So when you add a new user into the WIN911 system, it will allow you to send an invitation to this particular user. And you can see this is just an example of what the email would look like. So once you follow the link, you would then use your email of choice. So really you can use any email account you wish. You just have to go through Microsoft and their authentication process here. So you would go ahead and enter your email, enter a new password, and then at this point you'll need to accept the terms here for WIN911 Mobile. WIN911 software to allow you to use the mobile app. And at this point, you should get a message on your screen that says to use your credentials to sign into WIN911 Mobile. And now I'm going to switch over to the screen. So in my sample, I am using an iPhone. The first time you open the app, you'll notice there's two different options. You can either select to log in or to use demo. The use demo option is it's actually a demo system that WIN911 hosts. It's an OPC server that we host that pushes out some different alarms. There's some sample reports in there. So if you don't have a WIN911 system that you'd like to set up, but you had some interest in the mobile app, this is a quick way to kind of get the looks and feel from an end user perspective. So in my example, I'm going to go ahead and log in. Again, I'll be logging in using this Gmail account, michael.win911demo@gmail.com. So I'd go ahead and enter the username. Again, this is the password that I created through Microsoft. And now at this point, you should be able to sign into the app. You should be signed into the app. And if you click on your settings tab within the platform and scroll down to the bottom, there's a allow notifications section. And underneath that particular section, you can see I've got a WIN911 automation fair demo enabled. And so if you had multiple WIN911 systems, you would be able to enable and disable them accordingly from this particular section. So once you've signed in, you're ready to go. You can get some alarms. So really quickly, I'm going to switch on over a little bit on the FactoryTalk side and how we integrate with FactoryTalk alarm and events. And so how the escalation works, it really starts with your alarms. So whether it be really more of an event or an alarm, this triggers your strategy, which is your policies, your start and stop conditions, which is ultimately going to utilize a tactic or a notification group. So at this point, we've got this particular user, Michael. He's added to the WIN911 system. We don't have any alarms set up, and we also don't have any groups set up, any escalation groups set up. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead. I went ahead and added Michael to a tactic. I'm calling this wastewater treatment plant 1. Again, this is really just a call out list or notification list that's going to, starting at the top here at Michael, it's going to go all the way down the list. In this case, I have 2 users on there. And then you notice I've got a delay before notification. That's going to be good if you've got some chattery type of alarms. It gives you a few moments for the alarm to normalize before it starts sending everything out. So at this point, I've created a user group or a notification group. I can now create a strategy. So your strategy is what you route your alarm subscriptions to, which I'm going to be going into here in just a moment. So we're calling this one maintenance strategy. And really what this is saying is when a particular alarm occurs, I want to start my WWTP wastewater treatment plant 1 notification list. And I want to continue notifying everyone on the list until the alarms become acknowledged. And I do have the re-notify on any state change selected, so anybody that's on that particular group would get a second notification in the event that there was a state change. I'm going to move on here. So at this point, we've set up the tactic. So we've set up our group. We've set up our mobile user. We've set up a basic policy that the alarm is going to abide to when we define those. So with respect to FactoryTalk alarm and events, we offer a direct connect supporting up to the latest version of FactoryTalk 12. So WIN911 is quite flexible.
with a local install, you would install WIN911 directly on your FactoryTalk machine. So WIN911 does utilize FactoryTalk services, and we do require FactoryTalk services on the machine when 911 is installed. So in a network distributed application, which I'm using in my demo, you would need WIN911 installed on a machine within the FactoryTalk directory. You do need FactoryTalk services, and then you also need the FactoryTalk client installed. The client does not need to be licensed or running, but we do utilize that a bit under the hood, so do need that component to interact. And so for a single FactoryTalk alarm and events application, this would require a single WIN911 license, whether that be standard, interactive, or advanced. To use the mobile app, you would need at least the interactive or the advanced to support, along with WIN911 FT, which is going to be the FactoryTalk alarm and events client that basically gives you the direct connect into FactoryTalk alarm and events. So a single application can contain multiple alarms and event servers, as long as it's defined under the same application. If you do have a second application within the same directory that you want to connect to, we can support this, but it does require what's called an additional nodes licensing. So a lot of moving parts here. This is obviously a probably a larger scale type of operation. I did mention we do support OPC-DA. So with the base license and the FactoryTalk add-on, you do also get a single OPC-DA connection if you wanted to set up some basic reports on tag values, or perhaps you have a different system that's not being fed into FactoryTalk. We could talk directly to RS Links Enterprise. So just some options there. But really to go into the integration and how you configure your alarms in WIN911. So we are again, I mentioned we offer an alarm and events client add-on. So WIN911 is really a client. So we are a true A&E client that dynamically subscribes to FactoryTalk, both in alarm and events. And we're able to filter down on these based on tag name, alarm class, alarm group, severity range, and you can also filter down on specifically events or specifically alarms. And what I mean by dynamic is really having this direct connect to an alarm and event server. We're looking into the database, and by setting up these filters, which we call subscriptions, you're really saying, in WIN911, I care about these alarms, or I don't care about these alarms. So you have the option to either filter out or filter on specific alarms. You can use contains or wildcard expressions. So really, a key piece recommendation is grouping your alarms as much as possible up front, having an idea of which groups are going to be responsible for what alarms, and utilizing these alarm properties accordingly. So in my example, I've got just one property that I'm filtering on. I'm calling this urgent priority alarms, and I am looking at everything, both alarm and events, that are within the urgent priority group, which is defined in FactoryTalk. And so in your FactoryTalk Studio application, you can see here there is a unique urgent priority group defined within that application. So really, what I didn't mention, whether it be tag-based or device-based alarms, or coming from your control logics PLCs, we can take that information and subscribe to it, all using alarm and events. And so I guess another common example, if you wanted to filter down on tag name, maybe you've got several alarms that are related to a particular tank and they contain the word tank, you could set up some type of filter in WIN911 that only catches alarms that are part of tank. But for the sake of this example, I've got a group set up for urgent priority. You can see some particular alarms in here. I've got this tank 1 pressure and this digital one that I was triggering for this example. And so in my WIN911 system, I'm calling this urgent priority alarms. You can see I've got a specific filter on group names that contain wildcard expression urgent priority. And I'm assigning this to a label called building 2, which is just really a way to organize your alarms. So at this point, you've got your FactoryTalk application set up. You need to establish the connection in WIN911. One key piece, I don't believe there's any slides here on, but you want to make sure that in your Windows services, you have, there's 2 particular services that need to be set to log on as local system, and they need to be running, your Rockwell event and Rockwell alarm multiplexer service. If either of those are set to network system, even if it's a network distributed application, we won't get the alarms from FactoryTalk. But anyway, to go back right in here to connecting. So again, I mentioned in my example, this is a network distributed application. I'm calling this WIN911 demo, and I would select for application type, I would select network. For my application name, this does need to match exactly what you have defined in your FactoryTalk application as your application name, and I believe it is case sensitive as well. Same with your username and password. I believe I'm using FactoryTalk's with FactoryTalk. I'm using Windows user login credentials here. You could specify a particular local user in FactoryTalk that's not a Windows user. But at this point, you should be able to at least test your connection to make sure the credentials do in fact match up. And you can also select whether you want to subscribe to strictly alarms or alarms and events. So if I click the test connection, you can see that it says connection successful. Again, really, this is just testing the credentials. And at this point, we've built a sample subscription. We're calling it urgent priority alarms. So within your FactoryTalk application, you would now need to route this particular subscription to your strategy, which remember we were calling maintenance strategy. So I'm saying anytime that an urgent priority alarm comes in, I want to start the escalation, the maintenance strategy policies, which is going to escalate some alarms. And at this point, you should start getting some alerts on your mobile device. So I've got some screenshots here, kind of starting with the left. Again, this is a native UI, so you're looking at a iOS device. This is your alarm summary screen, so you can see some different alarms tripping in and out. You can see one in particular that I'm using here in my example is the FTA digital one. So if I were to click on that alarm, the second screenshot, you can see some details, the event time, perhaps a tag name description. I just want to point out that as a user, if you want to see more or less details here on this alarm message screen, you can do that. Same with your reporting. And then if I were to acknowledge, click on the acknowledge button, I could leave a comment if I wanted to. And then you can see that if you look at the icons on the right here, you can see there's a couple of state changes. You can see this alarm's been acknowledged. You see this checkbox here. So if you have some different alarm states, you would be able to view that through your your event details. Really kind of giving you that visibility. And every time, anytime somebody acknowledges an alarm or leaves a comment, that alarm does
that acknowledgement does pass back to WIN911. And in fact, if you pull up your, within FactoryTalk, if you pull up your alarm details, you are able to get down pretty granular, and you can see exactly if somebody acknowledged the alarm. So you can see WIN911 username acknowledge the alarm using WIN911 Mobile or a WIN911 connection. Michael acknowledged via mobile. And so really going back to the partnership, with Rockwell Automation, having this integration, this tight integration with FactoryTalk Alarms and Events, gives you a lot of accountability on these things. And so if you have these alarms set up, you're filtering on them in WIN911, you've got your notification group set up, you're pretty much ready to rock and roll. And so a couple key components, one more component that I need to mention around the logs in WIN911. This screen here is called your log viewer. This is an application that comes with the product. This is your this gives you basically not only your live alarms, but you can also do a historical view of alarms, and you can export this data easily directly through the log viewer if you click on this export button. So you can see some of these events here in the log viewer. You can export this via CSV or Excel file. You can do that whether it be your live alarms, perhaps a historical view. You can see if I unselect auto update, I could say maybe I want to look at all the alarms over the past month. You can export that data. Same thing with your notifications, right? So if you have the notifications tab in log viewer is really going to tell you what WIN911 is or isn't dispatching. Good troubleshooting tool if you're not receiving a call or an alert. And a couple more things I wanted to share. So we do have a few tools that really make everyone's lives easier that are using WIN911. One of them is the contacts utility. This is a desktop app utility that allows you to quickly change your notification groups. You can add or remove users that are already in the WIN911 system. You can actually access this anywhere in the WIN911 network as long as you've got the application installed. You can also launch this from an HMI screen for on-the-fly changes. Maybe you want to change the particular order of a group, perhaps change some user schedules. And then one other tool or I would say one other feature that comes with the product, it comes with all 3 licenses, is WIN911 Announcer. I didn't mention, or I didn't have a screenshot on the contacts utility, but you can also change user schedules using this. The announcer is a way to broadcast your alarms. You can have as many of these installed in your network as you'd like. I've actually seen this used quite a bit in the water industry, also some big manufacturing companies, and essentially using your strategies that you've created in WIN911, you can play back these text-to-speech messages over local speakers, perhaps a PA system, radio system, really any local audio device. You can install this anywhere in the network, and this is included with version 4 product plus, including again all 3: standard, interactive, and advanced. So for more info on setting up FactoryTalk, we do keep our network diagrams and our install checklists posted in the documentation section on our website. So if you go to win911.com under resources documentation, certainly encourage you to check out FactoryTalk install checklist before you work with the product. All right, so that is my demonstration. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and hand things off to Mr. Steven Rivas, our product manager. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jeremy. Great presentation. We recently celebrated the first birthday of WIN911 Mobile, and we couldn't be happier with the reception we've had over the year. And we're pretty excited to see where we're going to go with it in the next year. So I hope you all give it a try. It's real easy to demo, even if you just download the app. We have a live demo button in there. So again, please check it out if you have the time. Like Jeremy said, I'm the product manager for WIN911. My name's Stephen Rivas, and I wanted to take some time to fill you guys in on what we've been up to while we've all been quarantined in our homes this last year. So over this last year, we've been hard at work on the next version of WIN911 Mobile. I'm sorry, the next version of WIN911, which we'll be calling WIN911 2021. And now we're ready to show you guys a sneak peek to our Rockwell users. And our primary goals during this UI revamp was to make configuration quicker and more intuitive and update some of our outdated technology. So if you're interested in participating, we have a sign up page on our website, win911.com. Of course, you're welcome to come by our virtual booth to learn more about it as well. We're going to have a launch webinar on December 7th. I know it doesn't say that on the slide, just says December, but it will be December 7th. Discuss how you can participate and what the incentives will be, and just be on the lookout in your inbox for that invite and sign up, and we can get things started in December. So let me quickly show you guys a few things that have changed. The first thing, I don't really have, well, the first thing I don't really have a slide to show you everything, but we're making a lot of technology stack changes. And this is what I think most people are excited about. First, we're going to be moving away from Silverlight to a desktop app for Win911 Workspace. That's the main tool where you configure Win911. We're going to, it will still be a networkable desktop app, but we are moving to a desktop app. And this change had us go through a total UI overhaul. So many things have changed in the UI. The second big major tech change we're making is that we will no longer utilize Microsoft's Internet Information Services, which is, or some people call IIS. All our modules are going to be self-hosted now. The main benefit of this is, one, you don't have to install IIS and worry about configuring it and having conflicts with other applications that are also using it. But our resource usage, we've found, has been cut in basically in half. So instead of hosting two different services, or was more than two services, but two applications hosting services for one module, we only have one application doing that, and it's, like I said, it's literally cut the resource usage in half. It's also decreased install time, so we're really happy about that. So the thing on your screen now is our contacts workspace. What we've done is we've combined all our contacts into a single workspace, similar to our existing phone book in Win911 version 7 Pro, which I think many of you guys may be familiar with. So now you can create, edit, and delete your contacts from a single workspace. With the product that Jeremy showed you some screenshots from before, you do have to navigate around a little bit to make that happen, and it takes too long. So we wanted to shorten that time. So we put everything in one spot. So if you need to create John Doe's email and mobile account, you can do that from one screen without, again, moving around. Next thing is the notification. Oh, I went too far there. Notification policies. Jeremy talked about a little bit about tactics and strategies. Well, what we wanted to do is combine those into a single object. It can be a little bit confusing. It does make things very flexible to have them separated like that, but at the end of the day, it made the configuration more complicated and took longer to set up. So we've decided to merge these things together, and we're going to get rid of those terms, and we're calling them notification policies. So now you're going to be able to build out your contact list and your escalation rules in one place, rather than need to configure complicated escalation policies in one spot, and then you'd come over and set up the tactic in another spot and then tie them together. It was kind of a mess to sort out. So anytime you need to make a change, you'd have to visit multiple workspaces. So now you can do this all in one spot. So we're excited about that. And the last thing I'll show you guys is the alarm subscription workspace. And we've totally built. Well, I wouldn't say we've totally rebuilt it, but we've revamped it quite a bit to allow you more flexibility, so that you can be as precise as you want on the alarms that you're going to filter into WIN911. So prior to this feature, you were boxed into these hard coded and or ors of our filters. The purpose of this is to filter alarms into WIN911. So FactoryTalk provides the alarms, we filter them into WIN911, and you really had only these hard coded ands and ors to make that happen. Now you can choose whether things are anded or ored together, and you can choose multiple things. Like if you want to run several filters on a name, you can do that now, and it makes it again much more precise, and you can get exactly what you want. And so we're excited about that as well. So those are three sections of the UI that are changing. Everything's different, and we're really excited to show you that. You can see more of that. Of the things that have changed already on our website, win911.com. Go to the product section and you'll see the WIN911 2021 beta program. Click there, you'll see what I'm talking about, and I definitely encourage you to sign up. If you sign up, you'll definitely be getting the webinar invite that we're going to be having on December 7th. And again, we'll talk to you more about what we're expecting out of the beta and what incentives you can receive if you do participate. So again, we're really excited about this. It is, again, only for Rockwell, email, and mobile, WIN911 Mobile. The voice notifier won't be there, and the SMS notifier won't be there, and none of the other data sources that we typically use will be there. But we're really excited to give it to put it out into the real world and see what you guys think. Just a couple more things. Digital resources. We have spent hours and hours creating resources for you guys to try and help you along in whatever it is that you're doing. You can check out our Encompass product page on Rockwell's website and see the details of our offering there. We also have a brochure if you want to visit that and print it out. All our latest download information is available on our website. So we try to make it easy to get to. Just go to win911.com. You can get the download, system requirements, release notes. And we have a help desk where we've got lots and lots of knowledge base articles to help you along. So if you're not able to figure something out, please check out the knowledge base article. And if you can't, just go ahead and contact our product support team. So with that said, I want to thank you guys for coming to our presentation. If you have any questions about what you've seen here, please come to our booth, our virtual booth. Jeremy and myself will be there, and we'll be able to answer any questions that you have at that time. So again, thank you on behalf of myself and Jeremy.